Hey guys, it's Bailey. Welcome back to the channel. This is going to be another dupe or dud video where I talk about a high-end product and a low-end alternative and then discuss whether or not the low-end alternative dupes the high-end. I don't know that I needed to explain that, but anywho, if you're new to the channel, that's what this is, and I have a whole playlist of videos where I do just that. I'll link it up here, but this video I'm going to be joining a party that I am so late to, talking about a high-end palette that's super well known, Urban Decay's Naked2 palette, and comparing it against the Revolution, or Makeup Revolution palette. It's the Redemption Eyeshadow Palette Icon2. This is a UK brand, so people all over the world have been well aware that this is a potential dupe for the Naked2 palette, but it just recently came into Ulta over here in the States, and so I finally got my hands on it. Now, there is actually one of these Makeup Revolution palettes to dupe each of the Naked palettes, but I refrained from buying all of them just because I thought if it did dupe them, I thought it might be kind of a waste to have 3 pairs of identical palettes. Never exercised that logic before, clearly, otherwise I wouldn't have this situation going on, but for some reason it made sense here, so I only have one of these palettes to talk about today, but just so you know, there are 2 others to supposedly match up to the other 2 Naked palettes. So for starters, just like in every dupe or dud video, I am wearing both products on either side of my face. On my right side over here, I have the Makeup Revolution palette, and on my left side over here, I am wearing Urban Decay's Naked2 palette, so just keep that in mind as you're watching throughout the video to see if you can notice any of these differences. I'll also show you close-up stills of all this as well as swatch comparisons, but I just like, this is kind of a nice test, I think, to, as you're looking at someone, trying to decide whether or not you really can actually tell the difference, because that's what this is all about. So the Urban Decay Naked2 palette retails for $54, whereas the Makeup Revolution retails for $7. That would be an amazing savings if these were dupes. So here they are side by side, but like I said, there will be stills up here so you can get more up close and personal. But just from a bird's eye view, what makes this particular pairing unique is that it's literally a one-to-one relationship. A lot of those palettes that I talk about duping, or that a lot of other people talk about duping, it's not this straightforward, like for every shadow in the Naked2 palette there's an exact duplicate or attempting to be an exact duplicate in the other one. It's like, oh, the shades are similar, it's like an overall similar color palette feel. This is duplicated down to the shadow, so I was especially excited to get to see how all this exactly played out. I'm pretty impressed to say that the first 4 shades, these in the Makeup Revolution don't have any names, so I'm going to use the Urban Decay names as reference. The Foxy, Half-Baked, Booty Call, and Chopper, all 4 of these are virtually identical, both swatched and on the eyes. It isn't until you start getting into these deeper mid-tones here that you start to see some differences. Tease is virtually similar. Snakebite here in Naked Decay is a little bit more brown, whereas the Makeup Revolution has a little bit more of a green undertone. Suspect is very similar. Pistol, the Makeup Revolution version, is a little bit more silver, whereas Pistol is more gray toned. Verve is surprisingly similar despite not really looking like it in the pan. Why Decay is very similar to the Makeup Revolution. I would say the biggest difference there is texture, and I think that is probably the biggest difference when you're looking at my eyes. Urban Decay's powders overall are very finely milled when it comes to shimmer, and the Makeup Revolutions just aren't. They have chunkier shimmer, the texture is chunkier overall, but it doesn't really affect the performance quality. But I digress, I'll get into that later. Then there is Busted, which is once again very similar, and Blackout, which is a matte black, pretty much the same as the matte black and the Makeup Revolution palette. So now on to the major differences aside from those kind of shade differences that you saw before. Quality, because to me, saving a whole bunch of money doesn't make sense, isn't worth it if the shadows you're using don't perform just as well as the high-end equivalent. So now let's talk quality. I was really impressed with just how smooth these shadows were. Frankly, both palettes have fallout. Urban Decay, because they have those micro glitters and all that shimmer, they're not immune to fallout. They have super creamy, powdery, finely milled powders, but it doesn't stop them from having fallout, so I didn't notice a difference there. But these Makeup Revolution shadows are also very smooth. It doesn't take a lot of layering to get the kind of pigmentation you see in the pan on your eyelid. And as far as lasting power goes, it's all pretty much the same if you just wear whatever primer works for you underneath. Overall, I have to say that while you can tell a difference in some of the textures and some of the shadows when they're swatched, when it comes to actually wearing them, I think these are dupes. And the only time that that difference in texture between YDK and the shadow in the Makeup Revolution palette might make a difference is if you just don't like that super shimmery, shiny kind of finish, that chunky kind of appearance of those glitters. Some people, whether it's you don't think it's appropriate for your workplace, it's just not a texture that you like to wear, whatever the reasoning, you know, that's kind of the case with a few of these shadows, like the Chopper equivalent. I just think the most dramatic example is the difference between YDK and the Makeup Revolution example. So if that is something that might make a difference to you, it's something to consider when choosing one over the other. So guys, I have to say the verdict is dupe. I think there are some very subtle differences in the shades that you can note as well in the swatches, and there is that kind of texture difference. You might notice some excessive shine and like chunky glitter in the Makeup Revolution version, but if you're okay with that, I think you can knock out the exact same looks with the Makeup Revolution palette as you can with Urban Decay's Naked2. So save that money and get the to Ulta. Actually, no, they're not actually in Ulta stores. I think they're exclusive online only. So definitely check them out. Like I said, they do have an equivalent for 1 and 3. I can't personally vouch for them, having not tried them, but it might be worth a go considering you can get all 3 palettes for $21, which is less than half the price of getting one Urban Decay Naked palette. So thank you guys so much for watching. Really hope this dupe or dud was useful. Like I said at the beginning of the video, if you're interested in seeing more dupe or dud, you can click the eye up here to go to the playlist, or there will be a link in the info below. If you're interested in that, please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!